Hi guys, it's me, ChazzaHD, and welcome to another episode of the podcast, episode 20 of our podcast. And today we are doing a special Christmas/New Year classic race watch along, where today we watch possibly the greatest race of all time, the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix. I cannot wait to watch this with you guys and with Nib. I'll bring him in a minute. Just need to say a couple things. One, the link to the page or the race that we're going to be watching is in the description down below. I'll let you know when we're going to sync up time so we can watch it together and about the same time. And also, I forgot to mention this last week, you guys can now use Super Chat. It's now enabled because the channel finally is now monetized, so you can use it if you want. Super Chats will, though, take priority over normal chat messages. So there's a better chance I'm going to read out Super Chat, of course, because it, comes up right on the screen. So feel free to use it if you want to. But yet, we're going to be watching the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix today. And now, let me bring in Nibloe. By the way, as well, if my throat at times goes away, I do have a very sore throat at the moment, so please bear with me today, but I will do my best. But Nibloe, are you there?
I sure am, mate.
Good to talk to you. And well, this race, I just cannot wait to watch this race. We have seen it before, but it never gets old, does it? It's such a classic race. You can never get bored of watching the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix.
Well, I've only watched it once, and that was live. So that was when I was about, how old was I? About 11 years old on a Queen's birthday at Monday morning at about 2 AM. So I don't remember everything that happened in this race, but it certainly is a classic.
It absolutely is. And, well, I didn't watch it live at the time because I didn't start watching F1 until later in 2011. But I have gone back and watched it, and it's a classic, and I cannot wait to watch it with you guys. Now, when it comes to when we're going to start watching it, we are not going to go and start watching it right now or straight away, because we need to wait for a couple of people, just to join, get ready, and then we will post a link in, I'd say, a couple of minutes time. But before we actually get watching the race, let me just go through what happened in qualifying and that current time period. So on pole position, Sebastian Vettel. He dominated the 2011 season, and up till that point had won 5 of the first 6 races and had been on pole for 5 of the first 6 races. He was dominating the sport, and it continued for the rest of 2011 after this Canadian Grand Prix, and he got pole position once again. And then in second and third were the 2 Ferraris of Fernando Alonso and Felipe Massa. At the time, Ferrari were actually quite poor, but they were starting at this point of the season they were starting to find their form, finally, because the first, I think, 3 or 4 races were really poor, and they were way off the pace where you'd expect Ferrari to actually be. And then you had McLaren not really doing that well in qualifying. McLaren only ended up 5th and 7th, when McLaren in 2011, in those first 6 races, they had definitely the second fastest car. Most of the time, if not all the time, were faster than Ferrari. But after qualifying, McLaren were struggling. But yeah, 2011, the thing with this season is, people just look at it and think, oh, Vettel won all of the races, or almost all of the races, what a boring season. But if you actually go back and watch the races, a lot of them are actually very good. It's just the same winner, I guess, always comes out on top. But it doesn't mean, the race is boring. And this race definitely, it definitely isn't boring, even though Sebastian Vettel was on pole position. Let me just read the chat. Mike, are you going to do another face cam? Not for today, because I'm not in my studio right now, because we're still setting things up, trying to improve the sound quality, the visual stuff and stuff like that. I will be doing a video in there in a couple of days' time for a video coming out. I think the first video I'll be doing, or one of the first 2 videos I'm doing for 2019. But face cams for the podcast won't be coming until probably 2 or 3 weeks' time. So, yeah, it will be coming, guys, but just not yet, when you still need to work on some things. But yeah, Nib, when it comes to 2011, as I just said, I think people forget that, again, even though Vettel and Red Bull won most of the races, even though Vettel won most of those races, they weren't boring races. They were still very good and very competitive.
Yes, they certainly weren't the boring type of races, say 2014, where Mercedes would win dominantly. These races were good because you still had battles behind with Webber, Button, Alonso, Massa. You know, there was a lot of battling going on behind Vettel. So, yeah, 2011 was by no means a boring season and was still a very good season. Obviously, doesn't match 2012 or anything, but it still really was a fantastic season, even with Sebastian Vettel's dominance.
And I think when it comes to whether a race is boring, I think it doesn't really matter who's on pole or who wins the race. If someone wins the race all the time, doesn't mean the race is boring. There's plenty normally going on behind them, and in 2011 that was the case. But we have some people joining up now, so we'll start syncing up in just a moment. Again, the link to the race is in the description, and Nib, I think, will a couple of times post the link in the chat to the race that we are going to be watching. So we'll start up in a couple of minutes. I do have the time codes ready that you guys have to sync up to, so we can all watch it together and in time. So I guess we might as well just start getting synced up. So I am currently syncing up myself. So yeah, make sure, guys, you click that link in the in the comments or in the live chat right now, and sync up with us right now. So as I just press play, hopefully it loads.
It does take quite a while to load.
Yeah, it does take a bit of time, but once it does, it should be absolutely fine. So guys, go to, mine has loaded now, go to the go to, if you can, exactly the 1 hour mark. Go to exactly the 1 hour mark, and then pause at the 1 hour mark. And then, yeah, once we've all paused and, you know, synced up at the 1 hour mark, like I've done there, then we will all press play and all watch along together at the same time. Right, hold on a minute. Go on.
I must add, Mark Webber is going to start 4th in this race, mainly because his KERS did not work in qualifying, as was usually the case for Mark Webber. So that is why he's starting behind both of the Ferraris, which is the common occurrence for Mark Webber at his time with Red Bull. Him and his KERS not working in qualifying.
Yeah, it always happened, and as well in the races, never had really the KERS working for him. And when it comes to, like, when Red Bull were in their final year of domination in 2013, I wouldn't say I knew they were going to be way off in 2014, but with the amount of reliability failures with the KERS, or what is now the ERS now, it was kind of expected, because I think people forget how many reliability issues Red Bull had, especially in the V8 days with KERS, with exhaust issues or engine issues. Alternator issues. So, right, I'm just going to see. Right, so everyone in the chat, make sure you've all synced up, and please post in the chat if you have synced up in the same at the same time as us. So go to exactly the 1 hour mark. and you should be all synced up with us. So let me just see in the chat. Right, I'm just going to show this. This is what I'm about to show you is a new graphic which I'm going to have on my race watch-alongs and qualifying watch-alongs from the first race of 2019 through 2019. It is basically a running order that will help people who just joined the stream know what's going on, because I know that was an issue in the watch-alongs in the last few races of 2018. Mario Master, make sure you sync up to exactly the 1 hour mark and then just press pause, and then we'll all press play at the same time. I'll do a countdown for that. But yeah, let me just get it up. So, and then hold on. Got to make sure I start this. There you go. I think it's working. There you go. It is. So that is what is scrolling across now. That is the starting grid and the actual formation of the start of the race. Because if you didn't know, the actual start of the Canadian Grand Prix was under a safety car because it rained a lot before the Grand Prix actually started. So let me just get the clip back up. So everyone, make sure in the chat you're synced up to the 1 hour mark exactly, and then press pause. And let me just make sure I'm all ready here. Right. And as well, during this watch along, I will try and update the order as much as possible. So this is also kind of a test for the watch alongs during 2019, because if I can operate this and do this quickly and effectively, then it'll be great for the watch alongs during the 2019 season. Right, so I think we should now get going. So everyone, again, sync up to an hour, press pause, an hour mark, sync up on the hour mark exactly, press pause, and now let's press play in just a moment. So I'll press play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Play. Have you synced up also, Nib?
Sure have.
Right. So we are now playing the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix. And again, if anyone joins, then we will try and post the link in the chat, if we can, of the Grand Prix. But they are now going to start this Grand Prix under the safety car, because, well, the conditions are treacherous to say the least. That's Jaime Alguersuari at the end of the pit lane. But yeah, the race is going to get underway under a safety car, and as they get away, they can see the grid order. So Vettel from Alonso, Massa, Webber, Hamilton, Rosberg, Button, Schumacher, Heidfeld, Petrov, and then after that, I think it's De Resta, and then I think it's Maldonado. But yeah, the race has started under the safety car. Simon Troop, are you including the 2-hour red flag period? No, we are not. So when the red flag comes out, what we will do is pause, and then we will skip ahead to the restart of the Grand Prix. I've got all the time codes lined up, so don't worry about that, as the race is now on lap 1 under the safety car. And also, just to let you guys know, 2 things. One, we are going to do the commentary as if it was live, so this might get very shouty and screamy in a short while. And also, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. We are going to do podcasts every Saturday afternoon, whether it's not a Grand Prix, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell and like this video. DRS, of course. is disabled. In these conditions, you do not want DRS enabled. But yeah, so we're just waiting essentially for the race to get going after the safety car comes in. But again, you have to understand it is so wet, and we're on board now with Mark Webber. It is very wet, so you have to understand that the safety car has to be out because this track is hard enough in the dry, never mind in the wet. But I just want to say, I know we're supposed to do this as if it was live, but Nib, what do you think of the older cars, like the look of them compared to now? Whenever I look back at these cars, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I miss these days of racing, but they kind of look better at times. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely prefer the early 2010 cars. They are absolutely certainly my more favoured cars compared to the cars of now. The cars are quite beautiful still at the moment, but these in terms for racing are absolutely better. And I must say, starting underneath the safety car when it's been wet is a common occurrence, of course, ever since Pirelli replaced Bridgestone as the tyre supplier in 2011.
Yes, this was the first year of Pirelli. Bridgestone's final race was Abu Dhabi 2010. But and that's what created such exciting racing, despite Vettel winning almost all of the races, was that they were doing 3 or 4 stops a race because they didn't understand the tyres yet. And they didn't really understand the tyres, I'd say, until maybe 2012 at the earliest. Because you just never knew what the tyres were going to do based on what track. They were very hit and miss. But we are still under a safety car. So we're on board with Lewis Hamilton, who, well, from that onboard camera we can't really see anything, but he is following Mark Webber behind the safety car. As
certainly lots of spray. That's for sure.
Lots of spray. And this is the thing, people don't understand this when a race starts under the safety car, is it might not look that bad, or the spray might not look bad under a safety car, but once they get up to racing speed, it's 10 times worse than under a safety car, because under safety car they're not going that fast. So you have to remember that also. But I'll just look at the chat right now. Mario Master, I really like Coulthard's commentary. I'm not the biggest fan of Coulthard, but I will say, I don't know if other people think this, but I actually was a big fan of the Brundle-Coulthard commentary team. The reason is because if something exciting happened, they'd both be like almost little kids. They'd just be all over themselves about what's just happened. I enjoyed it, even though there was no real order to it, because they were both essentially the same. They were analysts in the commentary box, but yeah, I enjoyed it, the Brundle-Coulthard dynamic. But with David Coulthard, I don't really like him as a commentator. I think he's a lot better as just someone who's back, say, in the paddock as an analyst, like he was in 2009 and 2010. I think he's better in that role than a commentator, but still not bad as a co-commentator. We're now on lap 3 of 70, still behind the safety car. The race surely will be getting underway in probably, I would say, probably the next 2 or 3 laps. Because...
Yes.
Go on.
And if you had just missed, Rob Smedley reported to Felipe Massa last lap that more rain will be coming in 20 to 25 minutes.
Yeah, that is going to be quite big of an issue for these drivers, because once the safety car comes in, it'll start to dry out, and they might be thinking about intermediate tyres, or maybe even further than that. And then once the rain comes down again, it'll become very, very difficult. And again, as I said a minute ago, this track is hard enough in the dry. In the wet, it can be at times impossible because of how close the walls are, how low grip the surface is. Again, in the dry, though, it can be quite a low grip kind of track, especially in the first sector. As you can see there on board the safety car. This is one thing people forget is Bert Mylander, he is actually pushing as hard as he can, but it doesn't look like it when the cars are behind him. You think that the safety car is deliberately going slowly. He's going as fast as he can, but it's just the cars are way too fast compared to the Mercedes SLS, of course. We're now on lap 4, and the race should be getting underway. There you go, safety car in this lap. So here we go, guys, safety car in this lap. Let's get ready for what is likely to be another crazy race around the Ile Notre Dame. So they're coming up to the end of the first sector. Vettel from Alonso, Massa 3rd, and then Webber 4th, Hamilton 5th, Rosberg 6th, Button 7th, Michael Schumacher in 8th, Nick Heidfeld 10th, and Vitaly Petrov, Nick Heidfeld in 9th, and then Vitaly Petrov in 10th place. And they now come up to the end of the second sector, so the race will be getting underway very, very shortly. Here
and of course, the exit out of the final chicane will be very important to make sure that nobody behind you gets a run on you into turn 1. So Sebastian Vettel must be very wary of Fernando Alonso here as he exits the last chicane.
Absolutely, absolutely, because you can, if you do the final chicane absolutely bang on, you can get a superb run, dry or wet, going down to turn 1. Sebastian Vettel holds up the pack, and now he lets go of it, but he's gone too early, and Fernando Alonso is just going to get a slipstream and then set himself up for the move. Maybe coming through. That's the safety car line that can now pass. And Alonso,
defensive,
and he's now going to cut back and now get a slipstream going down to turn 1. The Canadian Grand Prix of 2011 is underway. Alonso and Vettel go down to turn 1. Alonso's going for the move, but he cannot do it. Massa is in 3rd, and there's a McLaren and a Red Bull side by side.
Alonso goes a bit deep.
And Mark Webber has been spun around by Lewis Hamilton, and Mark Webber is now down. He's down there by, I think, Sebastian Buemi, but it's Vettel from Alonso 2nd. Felipe Massa is now 3rd, and this is Lewis Hamilton behind Michael Schumacher, I think.
Yep.
Yes, I think it is. Yeah, so Rosberg is 4th, and then it is Button in 5th, and then Michael Schumacher is 6th. Yep, Jenson Button has just been passed.
Not Alonso.
And then
around the outside.
And then Hamilton gets past Jenson Button and down the inside. And Hamilton's even having a go at Schumacher. Jenson Button has absolutely no grip at all, as now the Renault's closing up on him. But now Hamilton, will he go for the move? Down into the hairpin. He's going to go round the outside. But will he go round the outside? I think he does. I think he goes around the outside. That's Mark Webber passing, I think, Adrian Sutil around the outside of the hairpin. But Lewis Hamilton now gets a slipstream on Michael Schumacher going down to the final chicane. Slipstream. You can see the red light flashing. That's the rain light, of course. So Rosberg 4th, Michael Schumacher 5th. Great start for Mercedes, of course, capitalising on Hamilton and Webber making contact. But it's Vettel from Alonso, Massa 3rd, and then Rosberg 4th. Schumacher 5th, Hamilton 6th, Button 7th, and then 8th is Paul di Resta, 9th is Heidfeld, 10th Kobayashi, and I think now I should start doing the order. So Nib, I'll let you talk about that start.
Well, as you could see, Lewis Hamilton with a mega dive bomb on Mark Webber and completely taking him out. Quite a ridiculous move. And now we see Felipe Massa quite close behind Fernando Alonso, but back on board with Lewis Hamilton behind Michael Schumacher. Yellow flag somewhere on track, but they have now gone away. Can Hamilton get a good run? Very twitchy run for Michael Schumacher out of that corner. Can he get the drive to go down the inside into the next corner? Michael Schumacher goes defensive. This will give Hamilton a good run coming out of this chicane. Another twitch by Schumacher. Both of them twitching everywhere, that's for sure. Absolutely no rear end grip out there.
Paul
That's
Resta,
for sure.
Paul Resta, by the way, is falling down the field as Lewis Hamilton gets pushed off the track by Michael Schumacher. That's a typical Michael Schumacher squeeze on the outside of the track, and Hamilton is now behind his teammate. And I think in 8th place, I just saw, is Kamui Kobayashi ahead of Nick Heidfeld. As Alonso is now getting challenged by his teammate Massa. So
and
he's now
Vettel ahead by 4 seconds already.
Yeah, he is pulling away very, very quickly, doing exactly what he does.
As we see, Hamilton just going straight into Webber there.
Yeah, it's clearly Hamilton's fault. He tried to go down the inside and make that move, but there was just not a
long
gap.
way back.
Yeah, there was just not an appropriate enough gap at that time. So at the minute, I'm just trying to do the order at the minute, so I'll let you talk about the race a minute.
See, Webber's on board here, leaves Hamilton's space, and just gets tapped around.
Yeah, you could argue, if you're a Hamilton fan, that Webber maybe turned in, but you have to remember, with these mirrors, you can't really see anything, and you're not expecting a dive bomb, I guess, going into turn 1. So I think Hamilton is at fault for that. We'll have to see whether he gets a penalty or not. There's Vettel, dominantly leading ahead of Alonso and Massa. Fastest lap, 1:34.8. Hamilton now closing on Button. Yeah, now Kobayashi's also catching as well. So this pack isn't exactly fast, as Vettel just cuts out the chicane. So the grip is not good, even though Sebastian is in clean air and doesn't have any spray in front of him. As cars 2 and 3 are under investigation as Lewis Hamilton gets a run on Jenson Button. I don't think he'll go for the move though, and he is going for the move, but Jenson Button pushes him into the wall. Pushes him into the wall. Hamilton has a broken tyre. I think maybe a broken suspension.
Yeah, broken left rear suspension.
And doesn't, of course, take his teammate out, Jenson Button. But he, well, if he does get back to the pits, there's surely no way he can continue in this Grand Prix. Kobayashi's up to 7th, Heidfeld 8th, Petrov 9th. Webber is now 10th. Yellow flags out of course. But, yeah, Hamilton got a run on his teammate, and Button just pushed him into the wall. We'll have to see a replay to see who exactly was at fault.
The Lewis Hamilton safety car has been deployed.
So the safety car is out, of course, because there is debris, I guess, on the pit straight. As
yep, you can see there on the main straight there is some debris.
Right, so understandably the safety car has to come out, as Hamilton's race is already over. What a chaotic first couple of laps, or racing laps, for Lewis Hamilton. He's already out of this Grand Prix, and of course, having contact with your teammate is something that you cannot do, but that is exactly what Lewis Hamilton has done. But so the safety car is out.
We get a replay here. As you can see, Button gets a very poor exit out of the final corner. Hamilton a very good run. Jenson then just moves over and squeezes him into the wall.
Yeah, he does.
By Jenson there.
And Jenson is pitted.
Intermediate tyres.
Intermediate tyres. Okay, so he is taking I guess a gamble as he comes out there. Is he gonna? Yeah, he'll be able to keep that position ahead of the Force India, I think. I don't know why they're still racing, but I think Button has that position over, I think that's Adrian Sutil in the Force India. But again, another replay. So Hamilton gets a run, pulls out, and I don't think Jenson knew he was there, because Jenson wasn't even moving to cover Lewis. I don't think he actually knew where Lewis Hamilton was, because if you watch this, Jensen doesn't really move. He just takes the normal line on the pit straight and then pushes Hamilton into the wall. I don't think that's Button's or Hamilton's fault. I think that is just a racing incident, I'm afraid, but that is so costly to McLaren. Button pushing Hamilton into the wall.
I think that's a slam dunk penalty for Jensen, even though he might not have been able to see him. I think pushing another driver into the wall, even though you didn't know that he was there, and no further action between Mark Webber and Lewis Hamilton for the incident at the first corner. So probably because Hamilton was crashed out of the race by his teammate. But going back onto that incident, I think pushing him to the wall and forcing him to retire is absolutely a slam dunk penalty for Jensen. So,
well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Once they start investigating it, if they do, I guess they will once the safety car comes in. So it's De Resta. So you got Vettel from Alonso, Massa third, Rosberg, Schumacher, Kobayashi, Heidfeld, Petrov, Webber is up to 9th, and then De Resta is now 10th because Jensen Button has now pitted. So hold on, just trying to operate this as best I can. Of course, with the positions changing around all the time, it is quite difficult, but I am trying my best. But we are now under a safety car. Nib, whilst we're under a safety car, if you can, try and read out some messages or people in the chat, see what they're saying about the race so far.
Yep, I will do. Stella saying the Aussies are very sad, and indeed at that moment we were, as our driver was inexplicably taken out by Lewis Hamilton there. Come on, Shumi, let's go. Everyone reacting to, oh my god, no, ouch, with the incident with Lewis and Jensen Button.
Yeah.
Stella, once again, the McLaren days is going down the hill. Yeah, that's really about it. But now 10 laps, and we're still under the safety car after the incident between Lewis Hamilton and Jensen Button, which is now under investigation by the stewards. So let's see if there is any penalty for Jensen Button.
Well, I have a feeling that, like you just said, I have a feeling that he's probably going to get a penalty. I think that could happen because it does almost look like that he pushes him into the wall. But again, I don't think Jensen could really see him. But that's just the way it is, I guess. As now still behind the safety car, we are.
Yeah, I see some people in the chat saying that the mirrors on these cars were very, and indeed they were, and they were certainly a lot worse at the start of the 2010 season, where they were basically aerodynamic devices. And I remember at Malaysia, Mark Webber could not see at all where Sebastian Vettel was and lost the lead to him at the start of that Grand Prix. So, yes, the mirrors on these cars were definitely very poor, and that didn't help Jensen in his contact with Lewis Hamilton.
No, it does not, and especially in the wet. Even if your mirrors are actually not that bad, in the wet, you can't really see that much. So, especially down an acceleration zone like that. But we are now still under a safety car. Vettel from Alonso, Massa third, Rosberg fourth, Schumacher fifth, Kobayashi in sixth, then Heidfeld, Petrov, Webber, De Resta, Maldonado, Button, Sutil, Barrichello, Buemi, Trulli, and then De La Rosa, Kovalainen, Glock, Alguersuari, Carter-Kane, D'Ambrosio, and Lewis Hamilton is your only retiree. I'm still trying to get this order sorted out, because again it's changed a lot compared to what the actual starting order was. So I've almost got it all finished now, but
Lewis Hamilton looking very disappointed there at the side of the track after his retirement. And we have Ben McCarthy in the chat asking for my race predictions. At this moment, I'd have to go with what the top three currently are. It's very hard to overtake. All safety car in this lap.
Okay.
But I think Sebastian Vettel will win this race. Or incident involving car full speeding under speed limit. Oh, that's Jenson Button. He'll be in trouble there.
Yeah, that's a slam dunk penalty. That is a slam dunk penalty for Jenson. So just goes from bad to worse, doesn't it, for Jenson Button?
And McLaren, what an absolute nightmare.
It absolutely is, as they now come around to get the race going again. Hopefully no crashes this time between the drivers. Last thing, of course, that we want. But right, hold on a minute. Just I think I have just about what the actual order of the field is. So
now let's see if Vettel does a better job of taking off here. Yes, he does. He does a much better job of taking off out of the final hairpin. Much better job by Vettel. Is he going to catch the safety car though? Is he going to have to slow down? No, he won't. But Alonso has closed back up along the straight. Schumacher trying to go up the inside. He can't get past.
And now the race is back underway. Vettel leads from Alonso in second. Massa is third. And then a big gap back to Rosberg, who's still defending from his teammate. And then Kobayashi there as well. The two Renaults. Mark Webber recovering up to 9th. He's still not far away from where he started. And then De Resta. And then Maldonado. Jenson Button is probably going to get a penalty, as it is now green flag racing. And now, so Vettel already pulling out, but the two Mercedes look very tentative on this opening, or this lap, restart lap after the safety car has come in. And Webber shaping up for a move on, I believe that's Vitaly Petrov, it is. Yep. But he can't get through there, it's too tight, and losing the back end a bit going into this straight until we get to the bridge. And drive-through penalty for Jenson Button, safety car, speed limit. So he went too fast on the Delta, and well, if you speed in Formula 1, it's a slam dunk penalty. As actually, Jenson Button is now up to 10th place, so he's marching his way through the field, but it's not going to mean anything in a moment, because he's going to be probably at the back of the grid in just a moment. But there you see 2.7 seconds clear after just one lap. That is incredible. And then the two Ferraris, the two Mercedes, Kobayashi, the two Lotuses or Renaults, Webber, and now Jenson Button comes in, and he will drop down probably to the back of the grid, or about 20th place. So see all those cars going past him. What a demoralising feeling that is, to see all the cars and hear all the cars go past you. And now, actually, he won't be last. He's going to come out there, I think, just behind Alguersuari. I think that is, or Buemi, in the Toro Rosso. But it doesn't seem, or the chaos doesn't seem to be happening at the moment between these drivers like it was at the start of the race on lap, I think 4 it was, or lap 5. As Webber is right behind Vitaly Petrov. And now he's trying to somehow get past, but you just can't get past on this part of the track. And
as we can see, Sebastian Vettel, as he's shown since he's entered the sport, pulling away dominantly after the safety car has come in, doing what he usually does in these races, building a very solid gap so he can make a mistake and get away with it. Very smart. Is that one of the Williams trying to go around the outside and force India?
That's Rubens Barrichello trying to get past Adrian Sutil, and Jenson Button is right behind. So I was right. He came out just ahead of Sebastian Buemi, and now Jenson, who is 14th, will now have to make his way through all of that gaggle of cars. Not easy at all to do such a thing.
You can see, though, the track is drying up on that back straight. The track is looking very dry.
It is.
But the spray, there's still a little bit of spray. As Jenson tries to go down the inside of turn 1, can he get the move done? No, not quite. As he stays behind. Oh, is he going to go try and attempt around the outside? Will he get the better traction? And once again, no, he doesn't.
No, I think he will.
Oh,
he does. Yes, he has. He's got past. By the way, Mark Webber has just passed. I just saw a glimpse on the timing screen. Mark Webber has passed Vitaly Petrov into 8th place. So now he needs to get past the second Renault of Nick Heidfeld. And this is how it happened. Yeah, so Petrov just went wide, and then Webber took the position away and got better traction on the exit, I guess. Renault very quick in a straight line, but Webber just hangs around the outside. Nice and aggressive. That was, but great move by Webber up into 8th place. Now DeResta's all over the back of that Renault as Button passes Maldonado at the hairpin very easily. Or does he go too deep? No, it's just the Williams compared to the McLaren is nowhere near as good on the brakes. So Button is now up to, I believe, P11 or P12 in this Grand Prix, as he now goes down the, I guess you could call it back straight, but it's the straight just before the final chicane. So yeah, Jenson Button is up to P11 in this Grand Prix, as that is Rubens Barrichello, is it? Yes, It is. It's Rubens Barrichello has just pitted, I assume for intermediate tyres. I think that's why Jenson's so fast. It's because intermediate tyres are working better on this drying track. Barrichello will go down to probably last place now, but he will be very quick on the intermediate tyres.
Yes, I was just about to mention it'll be very interesting to see how quick Jenson Button is on this intermediate tyre, as it does look like the track is now suited more to the intermediate conditions, as we now go on board with, have a camera shot of Mark Webber behind Nick Heidfeld. Once again, the Red Bull seems to be struggling in traction behind Nick Heidfeld here.
Yes, he does, but again, it's so hard to pass at these type of corners at Canada, so he's got to wait and be patient and not go for a silly move, maybe like Lewis Hamilton did twice.
He's looking for a good exit out of this hairpin. Will he be able to get a run on Nick Heidfeld down into the last chicane? He's in the slipstream. Will he pull out at any moment? He's looking, but no. Once again, he is not close enough to get the move done. Will he be able to get good traction out of the last chicane on Nick Heidfeld? They have a go down at turn 1, and it does not look like it. No. So Nick Heidfeld and Vitaly Petrov both frustrating Mark Webber here. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And look, Jenson Button 1.1 seconds faster than Sebastian Vettel. Vettel doesn't have to worry at the moment because Button is way over a pit stop behind. But if he continues closing in on at that rate of knots, then yeah, Vettel has to pit. And so do the Ferraris, as they look like they're getting ready for an imminent pit stop. As now Button on the intermediates is right behind DeResta. Mark Webber passes Heidfeld. That is an important move. Now needs to get after Kobayashi, who's just up the road. So Webber now...
Button is not too far away from Mark Webber now.
No, he's not. On the intermediate tyres, he's very quick, especially compared to these Renaults and this Force India. DeResta gets slightly out of shape. But yeah, Jenson Button looks to me as though in clean air he could go easily 2 seconds faster than anyone else right now, as he now shapes around the outside. DeResta very aggressively closing the door. And will Jensen be able to get the traction out of here? He does, but I don't think he's close enough. And this is how Webber got past. Yep, so just better grip. Yep, just better grip down the inside. The Red Bull, of course, a lot better aerodynamic grip as Fernando Alonso pits for the intermediate tyres. So they are going to try and
Nico Rosberg.
And also, yep, Nico Rosberg into the pits. So they're going to try and counter Jensen Button. But Alonso, will he come out ahead of Button? Yes, he will. Just about.
Just about.
He needs to get ahead of that Renault, though. And can he get ahead of the Renault? He should. Yes, he does. So that's very important. He's behind one of the Renaults, though, but at least he's ahead of one of them. Great move by Jensen Button around the outside of Paul di Resta there. And the incident between cars 3 and 4 will be investigated after the race. That's Button and Hamilton. So, well, we'll see what happens with that. But I still don't think it should be a penalty. But anyway, so Webber is now up to 5th. So it's Vettel from Massa, Michael Schumacher 3rd, Kobayashi 4th, Webber is 5th. And then Nick Heidfeld is 7th, Nick Heidfeld is 6th, and then Alonso is 7th, Petrov 8th, Button 9th, and di Resta in 10th. Alonso now needs to get past this Renault. Well, he needs to get past him pronto because he don't want to be stuck behind him for too long, and he wants to try and get, I guess, an undercut on Sebastian Vettel. If he can, and he gets a super run out of the hairpin, and he's going to get past, surely, down to the chicane. The Ferrari is very fast in a straight line. Pulls to the inside. The Renault also looking quick in a straight line. What does Alonso do? Alonso gets past down the inside. Michael Schumacher is pitted. As Heidfeld is now... Oh no, Petrov is very close to the back of his teammate Nick Heidfeld. Can Petrov get past? Oh, that's very close. And has he gone down the inside? No, it looked like he did. But he is now not going for the move. But Michael Schumacher, by the way, has pitted and has come out in 11th and has been jumped by Jensen Button. So Jensen Button, despite a drive-through penalty and pitting under the safety car, has jumped Michael Schumacher, who was running in 5th place. So...
And if there is any race where you want to have a drive-through penalty, it is the Canadian Grand Prix, as it is a very short pit lane. It's only about 16 seconds for a drive-through. And he's got the traction here on the Renault of Vitaly Petrov, and that is a very nice move by the McLaren driver.
Oh, he's gone a bit wide there.
He's gone a bit deep. It looks like there's a bit more rain.
Yeah, there's a lot more rain. There's a lot more rain. They might have to come in for intermediate. Oh, that is...
look at it. You see Mark Webber struggling to keep it on the track there.
Button, Schumacher, Alonso, Barrichello, anyone who pitted for Inters now needs to come in, put full wets on. This is very dangerous, even for the wet tyres, as you can't even see, look, you can't even see the cars anymore. They've got to throw a safety car out. This is way too dangerous. Let the cars... yeah, there you go, safety car. Safety car comes out. It had to happen. Wow. Well, the rain came down very hard. 1 minute, it was looking like it was drying out and very suitable for the Inters. And now it looks like, well, more like conditions for rowing than driving. But here comes Fernando Alonso pitting for the wet tyres. He has to. And also Jensen Button. So we'll wait to see where they come out. And I will, by the way, update the order along the bottom of the screen in just a moment until everyone has pitted and come out in their appropriate positions. So Alonso is 8th, according to the timing. Yes, he is. Or is he? Oh, did Michael Schumacher just pass him under a safety car? I don't know. But Schumacher's ahead.
We didn't have a clear view of that.
No, we didn't. We didn't have a clear view of that. But Schumacher's ahead. And Jensen Button, to me, looks as though he's in 10th or 11th place. I think. Yeah, Jensen Button's 11th. Yeah, it is raining.
It's absolutely plummeting down.
It is very, very dangerous conditions right now.
Good call by Charlie Whiting to bring out the safety car when he did.
Absolutely. And now well, we'll have to wait, I guess, for the conditions to improve.
Vettel's in the pits.
So Vettel is pitted, and let's see, will he come back out in the lead? Someone else is pitted as well. I think a Renault is pitted. And Vettel comes out, it says, in second place, behind Felipe Massa.
Behind Felipe Massa.
So Felipe Massa now leads the Grand Prix for Ferrari. Will he stay out on track, or will he feel the need to come in and put a set?
Webber into the pits as well.
So Webber's in, and he will drop probably outside of the top 10, possibly, or to the back end of the top 10. Let's so Webber, no, Mark Webber's going to come out 7th, so that's not that bad considering he was took out on the opening, I guess the opening real lap of racing. To be back up into 7th place is not that bad considering the amount of trouble he's had in just, what, 15 or 16 laps of racing. So, Sebastian Buemi also in the pits. But we're just waiting, I guess, for the order to shake out. And to see who is in what. Who is in what position. So, hold on a minute. But yeah, the rain is very, very heavy. So it's Massa from Vettel, and then Kobayashi, Heidfeld, Petrov, De Resta, and then Mark Webber. And then after that, I think it's then Alonso, or no, it's Schumacher, Alonso. I think then it's...
as Massa now pits.
Oh, Felipe Massa has now pitted. So, obviously, he feels he needs a new set of tyres.
Yeah, just getting the free pit stop underneath the safety car. Absolutely the right thing to do.
Absolutely. And where will he come out? Around Kobayashi, I suspect.
Looks like behind Kobayashi.
Oh, he's behind Kobayashi. So Kamui Kobayashi up into 2nd place. The guy, he can be very erratic, but on days like this, he is a very talented driver. Or at least he can be when he's not hitting any walls. But we're now under a safety car. I'm just now...
Schumacher in the pits as well.
Schumacher in the pits again. They're taking the opportunity to pit. Michael Schumacher comes out in 12th. Yeah.
Behind his teammate, Nico Rosberg.
Yeah. So, Alonso's up to 8. De La Rosa, who started in about 18th place, replacing Sergio Perez for this Grand Prix. Sergio Perez had a nasty accident in Monaco. He's up in 9th place. The first time he's been in an F1 car since Abu Dhabi 2010. And, well, he's looking good at the moment. But as we are under... Is there something else happening?
I just heard some of the team message from Sebastian Vettel there. He said it's absolutely undrivable. And that's behind the safety car. So that's certainly a message to Charlie Whiting, as Alguersuari has had an issue underneath the safety car. It's going straight across the grass there.
I think it's that where even under safety car, it's very difficult to keep your car pointing in the right direction at the moment. But yeah, so we are under a safety car. So whilst we're under a safety car, Nib, try if you can and read out as many comments from the chat at the moment whilst I try my best to update this order, because it's changing around an awful lot.
Yeah, we've got Simon Troop saying Sebastian Vettel sprinted away after the safety car, and indeed he did. Mario Master asking where was Sergio Perez in this race, as we've just mentioned, and as Ben answered in the chat, he got injured after the huge crash coming out of the tunnel at the Monaco Grand Prix. Will F1 said Kobayashi came 5th in Monaco the race before, so Kobayashi continuing his good form.
Absolutely.
Simon Troop saying the rain coming down hard, and it sure is, as we got Sebastian Vettel on the radio once again complaining about the conditions, about him saying they can't restart the race like this, and I absolutely agree with him. Mario Master saying Button 3 stops but still 11th. Yes, indeed. A bit of a crazy race for Jenson Button so far.
And also, you have to remember Mark Webber. I mean, he's pitted a couple times, been took off the track, and he's up in P7. So,
yeah,
there you go.
This track is getting even worse and worse. There's a lot more standing water, even with the cars circulating. I think they might have to suspend the race here soon. What do you think about that?
If he doesn't stop or get better in the next 2, 3, 4, even 5 minutes time, they might have to just sit on the grid and wait this one out. There is Charlie Whiting waiting, and Herbie Blash
will make the decision.
Absolutely. And well, they're just waiting. This is the thing, the pit straight doesn't look that bad, but it's the other areas of the track which are just coated in buckets full of rain, as it doesn't look to be stopping anytime soon, as we're now on lap 24 out of 70. So Vettel leads from Kobayashi 2nd, Massa 3rd, Heidfeld 4th, Petrov 5th, De Resta 6th, Webber 7th, Alonso 8th, De La Rosa 9th, and Jenson Button in 10th. That is your top 10 at the moment. As, still behind the safety car. We also have Rosberg and Schumacher in 11th and 12th. And Timo Glock, I've just noticed as well, up in 15th place. So he is having a good Grand Prix at the moment.
Certainly for a car in Virgin. And look at the radar there.
Yeah, that's not good. That is not good. And they may have to suspend the Grand Prix in just a moment, because it doesn't look like it's getting any better.
Yes, especially with the amount of rain that we've just seen on the radar. I don't see any way that he's going to improve. And they said that the rain is going to intensify. Look at that, the amount of standing water. They've got to suspend this race absolutely now.
Yeah, I think they should. And by the way, I'm actually surprised that we've only had we've only had one retirement in this Grand Prix, which is very surprising, considering
Lewis Hamilton, of course.
Yeah, considering that this track can really be difficult to finish, and normally you only have about 8 or 9 cars finishing at times, but they seem to be just about holding on to the cars.
And Jensen once again saying that you can't see anything at all.
I'm not surprised. I'm really...
And there's going to be 20 minutes more of this rain with this intensity, according to McLaren. And look at it teeming down in the pit lane. Looks like it's getting worse. It's ridiculous.
It almost looks like it's snowing. It's fallen that hard. And now even the pit straight is becoming absolutely just drenched in rain. Oh God, you can even see it hitting the track now. That looks... They've got to stop the race, surely.
Yeah,
it's getting worse. It's not getting... Oh my. That looks terrifying. That looks terrifying even if you just stand in that, never mind driving it. And I think we are about to have a red flag. Yeah, there you go, red flag. So they are now going to come around to the grid and get set up in the grid positions. Well, in the positions that they are in. So, right, let's just take ourselves out of 2011 and return ourselves to 2018. So, what we're going to do, guys, so once they all stop on the grid, I'm going to make sure I confirm the order, so, you know, the thing scrolling across the screen is all correct. And then we will skip ahead to the end of the red flag period, which is at 3 hours and 50 minutes. If you want to go to that time now, go to exactly 3 hours and 50 minutes and just exactly, again, 3 hours and 50 minutes and press pause and wait until I give the countdown to, to start the clip or start the race again. But I do have to make sure that the order that I've put on the screen is actually the correct order. So I'm just having a look now. By the way, the people who haven't made pit stops have really gained, especially Kobayashi.
And Pedro de la Rosa up in ninth.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the rain. You can barely see the cars.
Wow, that is terrifying. But I just need to make one change to the order because Jerome D'Ambrosio is now at the back. So let me just change that a minute, and then we should be ready to get this going again.
Yep, you said it 3 hours and 50 minutes, correct?
3 hours 50 minutes exactly, and then pause. Pause at that exact time code, and then I will give the countdown. And then we will start it up again. So, right. So the order you see on your screen, rolling along the bottom, is the correct order. Or at least I hope it is. So, yeah, there you go. But, well, what a Grand Prix it's been so far. So we've had, as you can see on your screen, the contact between Lewis Hamilton and Mark Webber. Hamilton putting himself down the field and also putting Mark Webber down the field. But Webber has recovered to P7, but Lewis Hamilton is now out of this Grand Prix with contact with his teammate Jenson Button, broken right or left rear suspension, I believe. So he is out of this Grand Prix. It's the only retirement in this Grand Prix. And then the safety car came out again, and then it got back underway. We had a lot of changing of position with the Ferraris, you know, pitting, and then Jenson Button. But as you can see on your screen right there, yeah, it is way too heavy rain to actually continue this Grand Prix. So there you go. Right, so they are now stopped on the grid, I believe, aren't they?
Yep.
Yep, they are. Right, so I am now going to skip ahead to the 3 hour 50-minute mark exactly. I'll make sure to get everything lined up. Right, I'm now at the time code. So everyone in the chat, make sure that you are at exactly 3 hours and 50 minutes. Make sure you're exactly at 3 hours and 50 minutes. Right, let me just make sure everything is all in order with the field. It is, I think. So, right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. So, we should all be now watching or getting ready to watch the restart of this Grand Prix. As Felipe Massa there himself is getting ready. So, Sebastian Vettel leads from Kobayashi second, Massa is third, Heidfeld is fourth, Petrov is fifth, Di Resta is sixth, Webber is seventh, 8th is Fernando Alonso, 9th is Pedro Della Rosa. And then 10th is Jenson Button. 11th is Nico Rosberg. 12th is the Rainmaster himself, Michael Schumacher. 13th is Adrian Sutil. 14th is Alguersuari. 15th is Timo Glock. 16th is Rubens Barrichello. And then 17th is Liuzzi. 18th is Buemi. 19th is Carter Khan. And then 20th, Pastor Maldonado. 21st, Heikki Kovalainen. 22nd, Jarno Trulli. 23rd, Jerome D'Ambrosio. And your only retirement, the master of the circuit, Gilles Villeneuve himself, Lewis Hamilton.
And we can see that now we are back underway behind the safety car after an over 2 hour stoppage with the cars stuck on the grid with the absolutely torrential downpour that we have had here at the Canadian Grand Prix. And all of the fans are very happy and waving their hats and clapping and cheering, as we can see right there that the race is back underway behind the safety car, of course.
Yeah, it's a great sight to see this race underway again. But now, now we wait for the race to get underway again. I assume they're going to wait a few laps to see how the conditions are now compared to what they were like when the safety car was first thrown out on, when the rain started getting heavy on lap 20. So we might be waiting a few laps here, I think, for the Grand Prix to be getting underway. Do you think we should skip ahead to the end of the safety car period?
How long is the safety car period?
Let me just check. I know it was long. Right, so everyone, go to the 4 hour, 8 minute and 5 second mark. And then press pause. Everyone go to 4 hours, 8 minutes and 5 seconds. And then pause it at that. It'll say lap 34 out 70, and it'll be a picture kind of zoomed in of, at the time, world champion Sebastian Vettel. So let me just see. So yeah, make sure everyone in the chat that you're all timed up, you're all lined up. Again, 4 hours. 4 hours, 8 minutes and 5 seconds, and then press pause. And right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. So it's now lap 34 out of 70, and the race gets going at the end of this lap. So, and we have someone in the pits. That is, I don't know who that is, if I'm being honest. We don't really get to see these cars that much.
Jerome D'Ambrosio, that was in the pits.
Okay, D'Ambrosio in the pits. He was at the back anyway. So I guess he's taking a gamble that the conditions will dry out enough for inters. It looks a lot drier now, or drivable, should I say, than it did when...
The track looks drier than what it did in the first couple of laps even. It's quite remarkable how much it's dried up.
It does. It doesn't... I don't even think it's raining anymore. No, I don't think it is. If it is, it's very light. But again, with the amount of rain that was on the track, it's going to take a long time to get to anywhere near slick conditions, if that even does happen. So, Vettel from Kobayashi. Massa is third. Fourth, Heidfeld. Fifth, Petrov. Sixth is Paul di Resta. Great to see him up there in sixth. And then seventh is Webber. Eighth is Alonso. Ninth is De La Rosa. 10th is Jenson Button. And then it's the two silver arrows of Rosberg and Schumacher. Sutil, Buemi, Glock. And then after that, I think it is then the back markers. Is Sebastian Vettel already going for it? Yes, he is. Down to the final chicane. He has left them all for dead. And they should not get a run on him. I don't think Kobayashi is going to be too aggressive into the chicane. And di Resta is trying to go for the move there. of Vitaly Petrov, but it doesn't work. And now the race is underway.
All over Kamui Kobayashi. He's already passed him. Can he hold it around the outside of Kamui Kobayashi? Oh, that's close. And Kamui Kobayashi's held the move. Brilliant driving there.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Kobayashi had to fight for his second place, and he did, as Michael Schumacher and Adrian Sutil, I believe that is. Yes, it is. Adrian Sutil have pitted for intermediate tyres, I believe.
Yes, believe so.
And a load of other cars. I don't know who. I assume that that'll be a couple of Toro Rossos maybe in there. As now the two Renaults, then the Di Resta, Webber, Alonso. But Vettel again doing what he usually does, pulling the gap. He's already 2 seconds clear of Kobayashi. We haven't even done one full lap after the restart of the Grand Prix. And that's Rosberg. Rosberg's been passed. Has he been passed? No. Rosberg is actually... Oh, no. De La Rosa has been passed by Jenson Button. Up into P9. De La Rosa now defending for his life against Nico Rosberg. And then behind, that's Buemi, I believe, in the Toro Rosso. Nope, that's Alguersuari actually, because Buemi is now last. By the way, Heikki Kovalainen has retired under the safety car with some kind of technical issue. I don't know what it is, but some kind of technical issue. As
a few other cars.
As Heidfeld, Button, De La Rosa, Di Resta, they're now coming in for inters because the track is drying out a lot. Alguersuari in the pits as well. A Williams back there. Maybe of Maldonado or Barrichello. And then Button. He's got away. Oh, that's a slow pit stop, but he gets away. And he will come out in... He's about 15th. I think, though, he's been jumped by the... Has he been jumped by this Force India? Can he get ahead? Oh, that's so close. I think the Force India is going to keep it. Yes, he does. So Adrian Sutil. And drive-through penalty. Oh! Ooh. The Force India has just got it all wrong going into turn 4, I think it is. As Michael Schumacher making his way through the back marker. He's just passed Jarno Trulli. He's now going to pass, I believe that is Liuzzi in the HRT, and he does. Actually, no, that's Carter Cahan. Liuzzi is now last. He's just pitted. Button passes D'Ambrosio. I think that is. Yes, it is. So, the intermediate runners are looking very, very strong.
And as you can see, a dry line already semi-starting to... Well, not a dry line, but a not as wet. Oh, as the Force India goes a bit deep and Button back up the inside.
Great move.
Great move by Jenson Button there. And more cars in the pit lane, I'm hearing. Felipe Massa into the pits.
Mark Webber. Yeah, and there's going to be a couple other cars.
And Alonso.
Who's that? Is that Kobayashi? I think
that was Kobayashi.
Yeah,
coming out just ahead of Massa.
And where will he come out? He comes out ahead of Heidfeld, I think that is. Yes, it is. So they've maintained position. That's very important. They maintained position despite losing time to them in those couple laps. So Kobayashi second, Massa third, Heidfeld is fourth, and Di Resta is fifth. Only just about fifth. Yellow flag. Someone's crashed. I think at turn 4 as Michael Schumacher sides down the inside of Vitaly Petrov. And that's Fernando Alonso in the Ferrari. And he's beached again. And the safety car's out. And he's beached on the grass. And they're trying to push him out. But I think they're saying they can't. And Felipe Massa's now dropping down the field for some reason. Unless that's a timing error. But Fernando Alonso, and that's Jenson Button with a punctured left front tyre.
Ooh,
so
Alonso and Button were on track together. So there must have been some contact.
There's Vettel.
Vettel is now in the pits.
Sebastian
Perfectly
Vettel.
timed for him.
Vettel now comes into his pit box. and puts on intermediate tyres. That's great for Vettel because now he can come out and still be in the lead and be on the right tyres. I think. As here we go. Yep, it was. It was Button and Alonso, and then Alonso tried to go around the outside, and Button makes contact with him left front against, I think, right rear. Alonso then hits the wall and gets beached on the grass. And this is the view from the Mercedes, I guess, of Michael Schumacher or maybe Nico Rosberg. And
in your opinion, who's at fault there?
I have to see another, maybe another replay of that. As Jenson Button is going very slowly back to the pits, but to me, yes, Button hit him, but I don't know. I have to see another replay.
Yeah, the inside.
This is the thing. Was Alonso going to make the move around the outside? I don't know. I have to see another replay.
Yeah, not entirely sure there.
But Alonso is out of the car. The car is now beached against, or almost against the wall. It did hit the wall. As now, Jenson Button is now at the back of the grid. Alonso out of this Grand Prix, along with Heikki Kovalainen and Lewis Hamilton. And Button pits and will now be at the back of the grid. And he will be lucky not to be lapped by Sebastian Vettel at this race, going so slowly. As he now comes in. Felipe Massa, by the way, has dropped behind Nick Heidfeld for some reason, I think. As... Is he... So Jenson Button gets going. And yep, he's in last place, 21st place. 9.4 second pit stop, but that is a disaster for Jenson Button.
His 5th pit stop of the race.
5th
Incredible.
pit stop. That is incredible. No, Massa is not behind Heidfeld. Massa is ahead. So here it is again. So the side by side. Alonso tries to go around the outside. I honestly think that's 50-50 because I don't think Alonso would have made the move. Stick. I don't think it was possible with the angle that the cars were at. So I would have to say racing incident. But we'll have to see what the stewards think of that.
Yeah, it looked like Alonso thought that he had the position there and he slightly closed the door on Jenson when Jenson was still there and there's been a coming together. So... yeah, I'd agree with you there. Racing incident and quite unfortunate for both drivers as, of course, Fernando is now out of the race and Button is now last.
Yeah, that is an absolute disaster. What a horrible race for McLaren. Horrible race as... right, I'm just trying to see what the order is. So, that is Heidfeld in 4th and then it's the rest from Mark Webber. That I'm seeing there. And I couldn't quite see after that. But we have basically, I guess, the same top 5 or 6 that we had at the restart of this Grand Prix. But... so, there you go. Safety car is out. So, again, Nib, if you can, if there's any messages, then try, if you can, read a couple out as we get ready for the race to get underway in a moment.
Yes, I will do. Francesco saying Alonso closed the door. I do agree, he did slightly close the door. People were saying what good can come from Button now, and in last place. Going to be some sort of miracle for Jenson to have any sort of good result here, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't see how he can really have a strong points finish. Unless we have another safety car or two, I don't see how he can really have a top 5 finish in this Grand Prix. He can definitely get into the points. He does have a very fast car, but it's going to be tough from that position. But we'll see, of course. You never know. Could have a couple more safety cars. There's been plenty of safety cars already. So we'll see what happens. But
safety car in this lap.
Okay. as I just update the order a moment. Again, the order, it's changing around so much, it's hard to keep track of what is going on. But I am doing my best to keep up to date with it. But yep, safety car in just a moment. And well, Sebastian Vettel at the start or the restart of every single, at every single restart keeps getting it right, and I don't see that changing at all really, as we now will get the race underway in just a moment. I'm just trying to see, because I do know I've got a couple people named twice in the running order, especially Jenson Button, and currently on the running order he's 10th and 21st, but I will correct that in a moment. As Sebastian Vettel. Now let's go. And Felipe Massa trying to go for the move on Kobayashi.
Not quite. They're very close into the final chicane.
Lots of side by
very bunched up.
Lots of side by side there. And now the race gets going. And it looks as though they're all getting away basically in formation. That's Michael Schumacher down the inside of Mark Webber. But Webber keeps the position. Only just though.
Hamilton not how to crash into Mark Webber there, that's for sure.
And there you can see on your screen right now, that was how it looked going down into turn 1. But yeah, it looks as though we're getting away in I guess the order it kind of was. Just
that Mercedes of Michael Schumacher's all over the back of Mark Webber.
Of course, though, we know with Michael, he is amazing in wet weather conditions. They don't call him the Rain Master for nothing. Plenty of great drives in the wet. It looks as though he's up for one more in his illustrious career. So Vettel is leading from Kobayashi.
Webber's now. Oh, Webber's hit the back of the rest of there.
Oh,
it looks like he hit the back of the rest of.
That is not good. That is not good at all. And now on the run down to the final chicane, DeResta. He's so close to Heidfeld. Heidfeld. This is a problem when you're trying to race Nick Heidfeld. He's so consistent. You have to be a very consistent and fast driver to get past him, because Nick Heidfeld rarely makes mistakes. So it's going to be difficult to pass him.
And once again, Sebastian Vettel has built the gap to Kamui Kobayashi over 2 seconds.
Yeah, he has, as Rosberg has actually dropped out of the top 10 for some reason. So Rosberg struggling. It's beyond the two Williamses now of Maldonado and Barrichello. That is De La Rosa passing Glock, I think. So this is what happened behind the safety car. So Sutil. That's an amateur mistake under the safety car, getting caught out by when Rosberg was accelerating and braking. And this is how Rosberg went behind Barrichello, just easily passed him. I wonder if Rosberg's lost any downforce with the diffuser.
Potentially, because it looks like a little bit of hefty contact. Oh, it's not quite hit the debris.
And Michael Schumacher is ahead of him. Michael Schumacher is now ahead of Mark Webber, and now that is Petrov. All over the back. DeResta, is he going to go for the move on Nick Heidfeld? And no, contact. And DeResta, I think, has lost a bit of his front wing. I don't know how much. And Sutil, I think
and it's now, part of it looks like lodged underneath his car.
Yeah, that's quite badly damaged. He's going to fall back towards Michael Schumacher, Mark Webber, Petrov, and Sutil. He went for the move, but I guess it wasn't really on. Yeah, he's got to pit.
He was too far back there. A bit of a silly move by DeResta.
indeed, as Jenson Button, by the way.
Oh, jeez, I thought he was going in the wall there.
Oh, and
He's absolutely everywhere.
he's doing a wall of death around all of the corners now, and he has to make sure he gets back to the pits without damaging his car any more than it already is. And now falling down the field, no real surprise, he doesn't have really any front downforce.
Oh, I thought he was going to go straight in the back of Petrov there with absolutely no front end downforce.
Yeah, but I kind of feel sorry for him. If I'm being honest.
Having a look around the outside of Schumacher. Schumacher struggles a little bit. Oh, who's that going out wide ahead? That was Nick Heidfeld. He went a little bit wide. But can Webber get a good enough run down the back straight to have a look at Michael Schumacher? As we now see Felipe Massa is closing up to Kamui.
Mark Webber, he didn't get a good enough run as someone's pitting. I think it's DeResta pitting. Yeah, it is the replay. So he just wasn't far enough alongside to be able to make the move. So he should have backed out of it, really, and just tucked in behind. But yeah, there you go. DeResta blowing a great chance to finish in the top 4 or 5 with that contact.
Yeah, very poor by DeResta there. So we've got yellow flags on track. That might be to just pick up some debris. I don't think anyone's actually off the track.
Yeah, I believe that's probably what it is. Lots of debris on the track today, of course, in these conditions. But I do feel sorry for DeResta, but it is his fault. He should not have really gone for the move. It wasn't really on. He didn't have enough. He didn't have the line really into the corner.
Drive-through penalty for car 14. Can't remember exactly who that is.
I don't know who that will be. That'll probably be not Sauber. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe Force India.
Might be a Force India. Might be a Toro Rosso also. Car 14. But yeah, again with DeResta, should not really have gone for the move. Right, just trying to get this.
Vettel sets fastest lap of the race, a 1:29.632, absolutely flying out ahead at the lead of the pack as per usual. Car 14 is Adrian Sutil. So Adrian,
that'll be for hitting the back of Rosberg under the safety car.
Well, no, it said overtaking under the safety car, didn't it? So he must have overtaken someone under the safety car. Very amateur.
Well, maybe
by such an experienced F1 driver there.
Maybe it might have actually been Rosberg because he was. I remember they were side by side going into that final chicane. So I think it. Yeah, it must have been Sutil or Rosberg.
She's had a moment.
Yeah,
that should allow Massa. No, it looks like Kobayashi still had a great run out of the chicane, even though he's locked up the rears there going into the braking zone and had a massive drift.
He's just about kept a hold of it. As, by the way, Rubens Barrichello has just... Oh, Michael Schumacher passes Heidfeld. That's important. And DRS is now enabled, so it is dry enough. It does actually look dry enough for the conditions. By the way, Jenson Button marching his way through the field. He's now up to 13th. He's got his way past the back markers, now getting into the meat of the midfield. As Heidfeld is now dropping back towards Mark Webber.
And there we go. There's the confirmation that DRS is enabled, even seeing Michael Schumacher overtake using the DRS.
Absolutely, and this is the thing. The Mercedes in a straight line is probably the fastest car in a straight line. But the thing is, for Webber, his car is one of, if not the slowest car in a straight line. So he's going to find it a lot harder, surely, to pass, even though he has DRS. The Red Bull is not geared up to be fast in a straight line. It's geared up to be fast in the corners, which does help in the wet, of course. So I don't know if he'll get past or not, but we'll have to see.
Incident involving cars 9 and 15 under investigation by the stewards.
That will be... I don't know who that will be. I think that'll be Heitfeld and DeResta. Yes, it is. It's Heitfeld and DeResta.
Heitfeld and DeResta. Yes, at the chicane, of course.
So, and no, as I said, the Red Bull just doesn't have the straight line speed.
Can he get a good run out of the final chicane as we cut away from that image as Felipe Massa is ever closer to Kamui Kobayashi now?
He is. He absolutely is.
Massa there with the fastest lap of the race at 128.7 as the track is getting drier and drier. As we can visibly see, there is a dry line now appearing on the track.
There is, but we've now got a bit of a train, to be honest, behind Heitfeld, which is not really surprised because, well, for the entire race, they've been trying to get past him, but they just haven't been able to find a way past for some reason, because I guess he's just driving too well today.
Light mistake there by Mark Webber as well, which has allowed Nick Heidfeld to get a little bit further up the road from him, so that will surely mean that Webber won't get past for another lap, which is very, very frustrating for the Australian.
Yeah, that is frustrating. Especially when
He's pulled it back already, though, and nearly ran into the back of another car at the hairpin. That the Red Bull is just that good under brakes and under traction.
It is.
Oh, and Petrov, he's closer to Webber. Is he going to be able to get past? You can't see. He's pulled out. He's alongside Mark Webber. Will he be able to get down the inside? No, not quite.
No, he does not. And
as there is some torrential rain at my house.
The rain is everywhere. It's at your place and it's at the Canadian Grand Prix. But, yeah, Petrov looking nice and aggressive. Looks like he can, shortly, if he gets another good run, he could make the move past Mark Webber. But I think that was more Webber getting maybe a bit tucked up too much behind Heitfeld.
Yes, and affecting his run, definitely.
Yeah, as Massa's still behind Kobayashi. Kobayashi is doing so well in these conditions. The Sauber is not, it definitely does not deserve to be in second place in a Grand Prix. Absolutely no way. As I think Alguersuari has just passed Jenson Button, or Button made a mistake. But I think he's about to get back past again. As Massa's still struggling for grip.
And noticeably, not Mark Webber, Michael Schumacher is closing up to that duo, as now we come on board back to Nick Heidfeld and Mark Webber. And will Webber finally be able to get past Nick Heidfeld? It doesn't look like he's close enough. Pulls out a slipstream, but of course he is not close enough. And he doesn't get a good run out of the final chicane there. So, once again, the Renault with fantastic traction out of the corners. And Webber, once again, unable to get past Nick Heidfeld as Michael Schumacher is closing up very quickly to Felipe Massa and Kamui Kobayashi.
By the way, Jaime Alguersuari, who started from the pit lane, is now flying. He's past Button and now past Maldonado, who's now struggling for grip as Jenson Button can't go up the inside there, doesn't want contact again. But Alguersuari is now flying through the field. He's up to 10th. Again, after starting 24th and from the pit lane, as Rosberg now gets back into 8th, it looks like he's getting better grip.
Alguersuari, just as we spoke about him, he's had a big, massive moment there.
And Button, is he going to take... He won't take both of them, but he will take Maldonado. He won't be able to get past Alguersuari surely into this corner. Nope, he does not. And now we'll try and set himself up for a pass at the hairpin. But Jenson Button, doing what I kind of said, he has a fast enough car to get to the points, but I don't think he can get into the top 5. Unless Heitfeld continues to hold the pack up as Button...
Alguersuari, once again struggling.
And he'll tuck in now and he'll just blast past in the DRS zone with that Mercedes V8. Here he goes, round the outside. There you go, Jenson Button up into P10. I believe Sebastian Vettel does a new fastest lap, 1:27.2. But Button is back into a position where at least he can get some points. But again, unless Heidfeld holds up Webber a lot or is another safety car, I don't really see how Button can get up there with Kobayashi and Massa right now. As, by the way, you know, Webber and Schumacher were very close to each other. Now, Michael Schumacher, because Webber is being held up, he's already about 6 or 7 seconds behind. What do you call it? Behind Schumacher. So that just shows you how much he's being held up by that car. So again,
Yeah,
Vettel
Webber,
leading. Go on.
Webber not being able to get the move done on Heidfeld is certainly costing him in this race. As now we see Sebastian Vettel is trying to get on the wet stuff to try and cool down these intermediate tyres.
Yeah, it's drying out a lot. It really, really is. And, well...
And we've got a drive-through penalty for Paul di Resta for causing a collision.
I have to agree. Even though I feel sorry for him, I have to agree. He did cause that that collision. As now, I believe the top 10 is Vettel, Kobayashi, and who's coming in here? Mark Webber. Is that dry tyres? Yes, it is dry tyres. So let's see the pace that he now has on the dry compound tyres. As he now comes out. This is the thing, the pit exit is wet, so you have to be very careful. It looks like he's coming out very gingerly there, as that is a Force India with a puncture. That's Adrian Sutil. So he must have had contact with either a front wing of someone else or the wall. Probably the wall, because he has crashed here a couple of times.
Oh, is that Schumacher?
I think it might be, but Massa now going to the inside. Yes, it is.
Passed both.
Schumacher is up to second. And I don't know how he's done that, as Massa and Kobayashi, Formula Ford style, going wheel to wheel. Massa passes Kobayashi, but he's in the same place. He's still in third. Even though he's got past Kobayashi, he's still in third place. Michael Schumacher is marching his way through the field. And again, they don't call him the Rainmaster for nothing. And he is now finding the wetter parts of the track. It does look very dry on the pit straight. But again, around this area of the track, it can be a bit difficult.
Now we're going to see a replay here. Kamui Kobayashi goes a bit deep and forces Massa to go slowly. And Michael Schumacher, being the cheeky devil that he is and so experienced, cuts back underneath them both with a brilliant move to move himself up into P2, which was unthinkable even maybe 10 laps again.
That's all about experience. That is cutting underneath and just scything your way through, letting them battle it out. As that's Jenson Button on dry tyres, and that's another car back there. I believe that'll be Alguersuari on dry tyres as well. But yeah, Vettel leads from Michael Schumacher second. We are, by the way, on lap 52 out of 70. 18 laps to go. And, well, I think we have plenty more to come in this Grand Prix. I don't know the sector times at the moment in terms of who is actually going quick, as Adrian Sutil is out of this Grand Prix. I believe that's Sutil. Yes, it is, because di Resta is in 14th. So, Sutil out of the Grand Prix. Force India could have had a great result today, as...
It was Kobayashi cutting the...
Is that Kobayashi?
Chicane, wasn't it? I believe so.
Yes, it is, because... And the reason there's no one in front of him is because Michael Schumacher and Felipe Massa and the Renault have pitted of Nick Heidfeld. So they're pitting for dry tyres.
What a great pit stop that... Oh, I was about to say what a great pit stop that looked like for Michael Schumacher, but instead it was a second... Really, but it wasn't.
Oh, and that is his teammate just ahead on...
Rosberg. Oh, look how much Michael's struggling out of there.
Also Massa. It's because the pit exit comes out on the wet line of the track. That's the reason why, as I think Rosberg is now closing up on a HRT, which is still out on the track. I don't know if that's for position. I don't think that is for position. I think that's Liuzzi's at the back and a lap down.
So.
But Mark
Webber with a 1:24.626, fastest lap of the race. That's at least 3 seconds quicker than the last fastest lap I can remember reading out. He's absolutely flying. And Massa's got damage.
Has he got
behind?
There's a car off. There's a car off. It's a HRT.
He's got bad damage to his front wing.
Cars all over the place. All over the place. As, who is that? That's Heidfeld, I think. Or might be Petrov, I'm not sure. But Massa. As Vettel pits, he should keep the lead as Kobayashi pits at the same time. Yes, he will. Vettel has a comfortable gap. As he just got to make sure he doesn't drop it on the pit exit. And he should be fine for the win of this Grand Prix, really, because he's been so fast today. As Massa, yeah, you can see it. His front wing is damaged. Not massively, well, actually, it is massively damaged. As he now comes in, and he has blown his chance of a podium. Absolutely blown it. And this is why. And he's gone onto the wet part of the track, and then hit the wall. And I have to say, I think that's a poor mistake from Massa, because the HRT looked like that he was moving onto the wet part of the track, and he decided to go on the wet part of the track. He should have just stayed on the racing line. That was a pointless risk to take.
Absolutely, and he's blown any chance of a great finish here in this race. As now
Schumacher and Webber,
Red Bull, yeah, Webber and Schumacher right up each other's tail.
As Jenson Button, fastest lap 22.7. That is a mega lap by Jenson Button, as we now have almost 15 laps to go here in Canada. And there was another yellow flag. But yeah, Schumacher is second, Webber third, Kobayashi is fourth, Heidfeld is fifth, then it's Button in sixth. And then seventh is Petrov, eighth is Barrichello, ninth is Rosberg, 10th Alguersuari. As Webber's trying to pass him, he can't. It's too wet on that part of the track, and he's going to go across the chicane because it's too wet on that part of the track. It's almost too dangerous to do that right now, and this is the advantage that the Mercedes has. They're so fast in a straight line. The only way you're going to pass them with DRS is at the very end of the straight where it's wet off the racing line. So Webber is going to have to wait quite a while, I think, to get past Michael Schumacher. By the way, Vettel is leading by 10 seconds as Button has passed Kobayashi. Yes, he has. And now Kobayashi is holding up the Renault of Nick Heidfeld in, that's 5th and 6th place right there. So Kobayashi, even though he's dropping down the field, which is understandable, he's still doing well in that position. Right, I will try now again to try and do the order, but again, it's changing around so much, you just cannot keep a hold of what is going on at the moment.
Jenson Button, who was last not too long ago, is down in P4 and is absolutely flying and catching up to Mark Webber and Michael Schumacher very quickly every lap now. So let's see if Jenson can do something special in the remaining 16 laps, or now 15.
Yeah, let's see if he can. It'd be a miracle if he got a podium, considering the amount of stops and all the amount of chaos he's had. Crashing with 2 people, getting a drive-through penalty. It'd be a miracle, considering what he's come from, to get a...
Heifeld's getting close to Kobayashi here. Will he go down the inside? Chooses what to go down the inside, as it is too wet on the inside to go down. He's
hit him. He's made contact, and his front wing's now damaged, just like Felipe Massa. And it's
gone underneath the car. No. And that is the end of Nick Heidfeld's race, as he just
disappears into the forest. And now,
yeah.
So, well, his front wing just went under him. That was, I guess he just didn't know.
Unfortunate.
So here we go. So Kobayashi. I think Kobayashi went slightly wider, and I think went a bit slower than Heidfeld was probably expecting. So caught him out, and then when your front wing's like that, there's nothing you can do. You're just a passenger, and then
Yeah,
again,
and as you can see, he was an absolute passenger until he got onto the tarmac.
And they're very angry on the Renault pit wall because they were on for probably a 5th place finish. As someone just went across the, that's just a Virgin trying to get out of the way.
Jenson Button behind.
That is.
It is. Look how much he is caught up. Wow. Jenson Button is absolutely flying at the moment, and looks like a podium is well on the cards for Jenson Button. Wow. He's absolutely flying.
He is. He absolutely is. He can't. Oh, that's going to be.
Look at the damage.
That's going to be a safety car, surely, because that will cause punctures. And this is the thing with Button. Yep, safety car.
There we are, safety car.
So it had to happen. It had to happen. But yeah, Jenson couldn't pass the other Virgin. I think that is Glock that he's trying to lap. Yes, it is. But yeah, safety car out with 13 laps to go.
And there is one person that this safety car is going to favour massively, and that is Jenson Button, as it is now going to close him right up to the back of Mark Webber and Michael Schumacher. And with the pace that he's shown, can Jenson even perhaps go on to win the race with the pace that he has shown? He is absolutely flying.
I'm not sure he'll do that, but I think second is probably the best he'll do. But again, they got to pass Michael Schumacher, who, as we know, can make his car pretty wide at times. So we'll see what happens there. But Vettel now coming around to find the safety car. As your retirements now are Heidfeld, Sutil, Alonso, Kovalainen and Hamilton in this Canadian Grand Prix. But yeah, 12 laps to go. This must be, I can't even remember how many safety cars this is. There's 4, I think this is. The 4th safety car.
I've completely lost count of how many safety cars.
Yeah, we've had so many. And of course a red flag. What a chaotic Grand Prix. But this is Canada for you. It's always like this, the Canadian Grand Prix. And it doesn't disappoint in this Grand Prix. As right now, whilst the safety car is out, I am now going to hopefully be able to actually complete the order on the screen for you guys as we get set for the last 11 laps or so.
Yep, and I'll read out some messages from the chat.
Yeah.
People are happy with Kamui Kobayashi's performance in the chat.
They should be.
Yes. Simon Tripp saying Schumacher closer to the leaders, and he certainly did close in once he got past Heidfeld. As once again, we're seeing another replay of Kobayashi and Nick Heidfeld's incident there. And once again, a scary moment for Nick Heidfeld, an absolute passenger, as he goes down the escape road into the forest, pretty much. Yeah. Will F1 Schumacher for a podium? Well, he's in P2 at the moment, so I think you'd have to say that Schumacher will probably get a podium here. Everyone very sad for Felipe Massa, who was in a great position in this race, but sadly, him going offline when trying to overtake the Virgin, I believe, he's just spun it straight into the wall. So that has absolutely ruined his race. Alejandro has said hi, Chaz.
Hello.
And Mario Master saying Button might get a podium here. Well, I absolutely think Button will get a podium here. He has been absolutely flying the past several laps, so it would not be any surprise if he were to get a podium. As you can see there, the mark doing. Oh my! He's fallen over. Oh Jesus Christ! He's fallen over again. Oh, jeez.
Oh my God!
Oh,
I shouldn't be laughing.
Lord.
I shouldn't be laughing, but that is absolutely hilarious. I'm sorry.
Wow, that could have ended very, very badly at Marshall.
Oh my God!
Oh wow! That was a scary moment. A scary moment indeed.
Yeah. Oh my! That's. I guess that just sums up the Grand Prix that we've had. Absolute chaos. Absolute chaos. But yeah, if there's any more messages, then don't forget to read it out. I'm just completing the order.
Yep. Everyone's saying, "Is that Glock?"
Yeah, it is.
It wasn't. I think it was Glock who was involved in that crash with Massa.
No, I think it was a HRT of Liuzzi that was being lapped.
Okay.
I think it was.
Okay, well, there you go. Ben McCarthy says Schumacher's best race since his return. I'd absolutely have to agree. Yeah.
It has to be. He hasn't had a podium since he's come back. And
Will F1 says how many laps are left? We are now on lap 60 of 70. So, yes, not too many laps left in this brilliant and chaotic Canadian Grand Prix.
Just noticed
Mario Master, Jenson Button with 6 stops equals Max Verstappen driver of the day.
Still some debris there. I'm just looking, so they're gonna have to clean that surely, unless they think that's good enough. I'm just looking now through Rubens Barrichello, the oldest, most experienced driver, and he just sides his way through, and he's in P7, the old fella. But yeah, so safety car in this lap. Right, so I'm going to try and just guess what the positions are back here. A minute.
I'm not sure if you watched the 2006 Hungarian Grand Prix, but Francesco asked, how do you compare this race with the Hungarian 2006 Grand Prix for JB?
So far, I'd have to say the Hungarian Grand Prix was better because he didn't really make any mistakes in that Grand Prix. So I'd have to say, yeah, that Grand Prix from him was better. But I think the race is about to get underway, isn't it?
And Vettel's gone. Vettel's gone. Schumacher's held comfortably with him. Oh, he's going defensive here, and Schumacher's alongside. Oh, Schumacher being the wily old fox that he is. Yellow flags for whatever reason. Yes, as Rundle just pointed out in commentary, I just heard. But we're back underway for the Canadian Grand Prix as Sebastian Vettel leads from Michael Schumacher, Mark Webber, Jenson Button. Oh, and the Virgin isn't doing a good job of getting out of the way there with Kobayashi in 5th. Petrov in 6th. Oh, now Barrichello in 6th as he passed. Kobayashi's dropped a couple of positions. But Mark Webber all over the back of Michael Schumacher here, and Jenson Button very closely catching up to him, as Vettel, as per usual, has absolutely flown after the safety car restart, as he has done throughout this race. And the battle for second is heating up, that is for sure.
By the way, I think Maldonado has an issue because he's dropped down from 9th to 14th. So I think he might have been involved in some kind of incident there. So Michael Schumacher 2nd, Webber 3rd, and Button in 4th. Petrov is 5th, Kobayashi is 6th. And then Rosberg back up to P7. Alguersuari, we have to mention him. He started from the pit lane. He's now P8 and only 15 seconds off the lead, as doesn't have enough straight line speed as Mark Webber. But this is it. This is a titanic three-way scrap for 2nd place in this Grand Prix. And the advantage that Michael has is that, again, he has the fastest car in a straight line. So as long as he gets good enough punch off the hairpin, he should stay ahead. As Webber, is he going to go for the move here? No, that he can. But Jenson Button has a lot more of an opportunity to pass Schumacher than Webber does, because Button has a lot better straight line speed than Mark Webber. So if Michael Schumacher is to drop behind or drop down from 2nd, it's going to be likely from Button than it is Mark Webber.
Yes, and Button is certainly looking the most comfortable out of any of these drivers in these conditions at the moment. You can just see by the way his car is moving behind Mark Webber, that he looks by far the most comfortable in these conditions.
Yeah, he does. But I'm just looking there. Did Webber get a good enough run out of the corner? I don't think he did. He's 4/10 of a second behind.
As of course, unfortunately, we changed over to a picture of Michael Schumacher's wife.
No, Webber's not close enough. Not close enough. And the advantage, again, that Schumacher has, not only is straight line speed, but offline it's too wet. If you go offline, you're probably going to crash or go over the chicane. So Schumacher should be able, if he continues at this type of speed, he should be able to hold on to second place. Because, again, the straight line speed advantage, and I don't think these two, unless it dries up dramatically offline, are going to be that daring to go down the inside into the final chicane. I'm just looking. So Felipe Massa has got back up to 9th. He started under the safety car that we just had in P11. Maldonado, by the way, is dropping down the field. He has some kind of issue, as Timo Glock is now up to 14th and Liuzzi's 15th. And yep, Schumacher, look at that, pulling away. Webber struggling. Either his front tyres are blistering because he's in the dirty air, or Schumacher just has much better traction and drive in these conditions. I don't know, but
yeah,
Schumacher looks like he can comfortably drive at this speed until the end of the Grand Prix.
And Webber's never going to get past him. Oh, saying that, as Webber's getting very close, is he going to go around the outside? He's completely gone around the outside.
He's got to give that back.
Chicane. Yeah, he has to give that back.
Watch Button, Jensen Button, side by side on Michael Schumacher. I think Schumacher has enough straight line speed. He does. But Webber has to give that back. But he's got to be careful he doesn't let Button through, as that's Maldonado. That's why he's struggling. He's off the track.
He's letting it back.
He's got to be careful here.
He's done very well to make sure the Button hasn't got past him there. Just as I was saying, he doesn't look like he'll be able to make the move. He just rapidly closed on Michael Schumacher and attempted to make the move, but cut the final chicane. Of course, he has to give that back.
And now it looks as though, even though Webber got that great run, I don't know where that came from. Maybe he turned his fuel up, but he got an immense run on Michael Schumacher. But again, at this point of the track, Schumacher pulls away in traction. Button's getting a run. I don't think he'll go down the inside here, though. It's too risky. Yeah, he doesn't. But can he get a run down to the final chicane? So Vettel, you can see there, Vettel is pulling away, of course, because they're battling. You don't gain time when going side by side with other cars. As Webber's gaining again. But again, Schumacher has just enough as Webber goes across
again.
Yeah, and Button onto the wet part of the track. But Jensen Button up to 3rd. 5 laps to go, and now Jensen Button goes after Schumacher. And I think Button, again, Nib, I think Button has a better chance of passing Schumacher than Webber does, because Button is in a much faster car in a straight line.
Yes, Webber went in too deep there. Had to go across and very nearly loses it coming out of the corner. And Webber just a bit too eager there, in my opinion, trying to get past Michael Schumacher.
Yeah, absolutely. Jensen Button is lucky that that's not a traction zone, because he would have gone off onto that wet part of the track. He's lucky that he was able to keep enough speed. But yeah, look at this. Because he has better straight line speed, Button, he's able to stay a lot closer. Coming into the hairpin, he won't go for the move here, surely not. Too much of a risk down the inside. But I think Jensen here should be able to just DRS past him down to the chicane. Oh yeah, he's definitely going to.
The McLaren is looking the better car at this stage of the race. Button goes around the outside and he's ahead of him already. Can he hold it into the chicane?
Yes, he does.
He does indeed. And Button is now up into P2. But surely that is the top 3 settled.
Well, I won't say the top 3 because Webber is all over the back of Schumacher again. That battle will resume. I think Button will just march away, as he does the fastest lap, does Jensen Button, with DRS, of course, aiding that. But I think now Schumacher and Webber will just fall backwards as Button now pulls away. Vettel's not that far up the road, you know.
Yes, Vettel is not that far away, and look how much Button has already pulled away from from Michael Schumacher and Mark Webber. Wow.
He absolutely has. So, yeah, that's Button there, passing very easily down to the final chicane. So I'll just update that top 4 for you quickly, as I don't think...
All the gap is 2 seconds between Jenson Button and Sebastian Vettel. It was 3.9 earlier when he was behind Michael Schumacher. Wow, Button is absolutely on fire.
Well...
Look at the gap. On lap 65, it was 3.1 seconds. What is it going to be at the end of this lap?
We'll have to see, but surely not. There's no way. But I'm more interested right now because I think there's a better chance that we're going to have a move between...
It's 17.9. Button is absolutely on fire.
He is. He is.
He was 1.5 seconds quicker than Sebastian Vettel on that lap alone. What can Jenson Button do from here?
So Webber is so close to Schumacher as well. So we might have a two-way scrap. One for the lead and the win, and one for third place, as McLaren are hoping that by some chance they can win this Grand Prix. But surely Vettel, I mean, we have, after they go across the line next time, they have 3 full laps. Surely Vettel has enough just about to stay ahead. He has to pick up his pace though if he does have any. Maybe he burnt out his tyres, I don't know. But Schumacher, by the way, is only 0.3 of a second ahead of Webber, so we're going to get a move there. We need to see that. They'll come into view. There you go.
Yep, there we go.
And Schumacher defends. We don't want to see that. Cut back. There you go. And Webber is up to third.
Can he hold it? Finally. He finally holds it and doesn't cut across the chicane.
Schumacher does, though. Schumacher did.
Yep.
He locked up.
And there we go. Webber is now up into P3.
And, yeah, so Webber is third and already pulling away from Schumacher. So Schumacher's dream of a podium looks to be dead. And here is a replay. And, well, the DRS, I think, is a bit too powerful. But there you go. The Red Bull just about at the end of the straight having enough speed.
Yes, Webber did go slightly deep, but he still managed to keep that together.
But Button, is he any closer? I think he is closer slightly. But not dramatically at the minute.
Yes,
1
not
point.
gaining as much.
All
as
he needs
was in the previous laps.
If he can this time next lap get within a second, he will pass or have a chance to pass Vettel on the final lap, because again the Red Bull in a straight line is shockingly slow and the McLaren in a straight line is very quick. So if he gets DRS this time next lap, he should be able to at least have a chance of passing Sebastian Vettel. But what an amazing drive from Button. As I'm just looking through the field again, I just want to shout out Alguersuari, 9th place after starting from the pit lane. Kobayashi up in, I think, P5 or P6. Just amazing performances out there. Also Michael Schumacher. As there's a yellow flag out there. I don't know where or who that is for. But Button, oh, he's so tantalisingly close. Look, 1.1 seconds. If he gets 2 or a tenth and a half, oh, is that Duresta? Yes, it is. It's not really a bad thing. He was down in about 14th place. So there you go. Or he was down in 13th. So he didn't really have a chance of points anymore. Vettel locks up
slightly.
I don't think Button, though, will have DRS. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see if his rear wing flap comes open.
No, he doesn't.
No, he does.
It does.
He has the DRS. But, oh, can he close enough? He does. He's about 3 or 4 tenths closer. He just has to have... This last lap needs to be just an amazing lap for Jenson if he's going to possibly make a move for the win on the final lap. We'll have to see. I'm interested to see though. Where is I think Massa is up to
Once again,
5th
with
now.
the fastest lap of the race.
He is.
Will he be able to get past Sebastian Vettel on the final lap? It's certainly going to be very difficult.
Well, he's not. He's not.
Loose.
He won't get passed through here, I don't think. As
Oh, is Vettel gone wide? He has.
he's gone wide.
He's gone wide.
He's gone wide.
He's touched, and Button is into the lead of the Grand Prix after 6 pit stops, so many penalties. Jenson Button is into the lead of the Grand Prix as Sebastian Vettel makes a horrific mistake touching the wet. And wow, who could have believed that? Jenson Button into the lead of this Grand Prix. Boy, oh boy, wowee.
That I can't believe it. Jenson Button is about to win the Grand Prix. He's pitted 6 times. He's had about. It seems as though he's been in the wall about 5 or 6 times, and he's going to win the Grand Prix. What a drive! This has to be his greatest moment in his career. Here he comes now, around the final chicane.
Oh.
Massive battle there at the back of the field. Jenson Button wins in Canada. Wow. Wow. And Vettel, you have to say he bottled it and it finishes in 2nd.
Oh, absolutely, Vettel bottled it.
And Webber, Schumacher's trying his best. But Webber finishes 3rd. Michael Schumacher finishing 4th. And this is...
And can Massa get past... Is this Kamui Kobayashi ahead of him? It might be.
Yeah, it is. Petrov has finished in 5th. So this is Massa and Kobayashi. No!
Oh, he's got a brilliant run. Is he going to be able to? Oh, that's so close. Is he? I think he has.
He has. Massa finishes and he'll go off the track probably. Yes, he does. Oh my, what a Grand Prix. Massa passes Kobayashi for 6th on the line.
Oh, wow. That's brilliant by Felipe
And here
Massa.
it is. So Massa, yeah, you can see it just about ahead.
Just.
And he had the
Well, about
DRS
half
as
a
well.
wing.
Yeah, DRS down that pit straight, I think. But there you go. Jenson Button winning the
Wow.
Grand Prix.
4 hours and 4 minutes.
That is something else. Absolutely something else. Wow. But I can't believe... We'll have to see the order in a minute because I want to just read it out so you guys know what's happened. But wow. But Sebastian Vettel, he'll be kicking himself. But honestly, who cares about that at the moment? We have to be talking about Jenson Button. What an amazing drive. He didn't have a perfect race, anything but perfect. He was probably at fault for a couple things that caused his own downfall, but there you go. Still won the Grand Prix. What a drive. And that has to be the greatest. And here's a replay. So
Vettel just goes a little bit deep and gets onto the wet and...
I think...
Wow.
I think he touched the white line. There's a white line on the far right. So he tried to turn in from a wider angle. And if you touch the white line when the track is still damp, like it kind of is, it's only dry on the racing line, then you are not going to have a fun time of it.
Yes, as of course we all seen at Korea last year, where Mark Webber infamously touched the white line and yes, spun around and cost any chance of him winning the championship.
Absolutely, as they now come into the pit lane. All the drivers, what a Grand Prix Canada. And is that Nico Rosberg, that front wing? It is. I don't know what he's been getting up to, but so Jenson Button wins the Grand Prix. Vettel is 2nd, Webber 3rd, Schumacher 4th, Petrov 5th, Massa 6th, Kobayashi is 7th, Alguersuari, what a drive, in 8th from the back of the grid. Barrichello 9th, Buemi 10th, and then Rosberg 11th with no front wing, 12th De La Rosa. And I'll read out the rest, but I am now going to I've actually paused it now because I'm now going to type out the final order along the ticker. So Nib, if you would, try and read out some comments about that amazing end.
Well, I think we're going to have some comments to read out. That is for sure. JB saying, Chazza, you heartless. I won't read that out, but Chazzy being very heartless there about when the marshal fell over. As we can see, Jensen Button giving the crazy eyes there as he celebrates with his mechanics after what has been a brilliant victory. And wow, I still can't get over that.
What I'll say to JB is, look, we know what happened, so come on, it is funny.
Yep.
Right, so
And Jensen embracing with his father, as per usual. Absolutely great to see.
But about that Marshall, I think that's basically the visual description of what a panic attack looks like. Just falling over himself, and I think he just panicked.
Flips over again.
Yeah, he just panicked being on the track, and it was wet, obviously, so he probably just slips straight off the wet stuff. But right,
and there's Paddy Lowe with Jensen. Ben McCarthy saying Vettel bottles it, that's a rarity. Obviously some very good sarcasm there by Mr. McCarthy. Francesco saying, guys, that was one hell of a race, Indeed it was. Indeed it was. JB saying, what? Vettel never bottles a race. Of course, absolutely loving your guy's sarcasm here. Yep, God, Vettel making mistakes. God, that's out of character. Well, it certainly wasn't out of character at this stage in Sebastian Vettel's career. He was full of mistakes, as we've seen through 2010 and 2009. So, not too out of character at this stage at his Formula 1 career. Mario Masters saying, that was my first time watching the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix. That was one hell of a race. Indeed it was.
I have to say to Mario Master, how you've never seen it is amazing. But there you go, you've seen it, and now you know why we always mention it in the F1 community as the best, because you can't rival it. There's nothing. There's great races, but nothing I don't think will ever rival that. That was amazing. Just an amazing Grand Prix from start to finish.
Yep, and Ben McCarthy here saying, you two in commentary are like Murray Walker and James Hunt, just without the aggression.
But right, I'm just finishing up the order now.
Yep, as we're heading onto the podium now, but I'll just quickly read out JB. What a fantastic race. I don't know why I love putting the word Haas into every word, but I really hope they make a team in F1 called Haas.
Yeah, that, you know, they actually were in F1 in the 80s. I think they supplied an engine or two, so, you know, you never know.
And now we have the British national anthem playing as Jensen Button stands very proudly on the podium. And
he should be very proud of what he's done, because he's put in a mega drive from the back of the grid. I can't believe that still. Right, so retirements. Right, so just to say, the retirements are Maldonado, Heitfeld, Sutil, Alonso, Kovalainen, and Hamilton, in case people were wondering who retired, and also De Resta, but he's still classified.
Francesco saying in the chat, I actually don't think this was the best F1 race. I'd call it the most chaotic race ever. Japan 2005 to me is the best race ever.
Well, we did have it in the voting, but most people went for this race. It's understandable why they went for this race, because this is just an amazing Grand Prix, but there you go. So I think now, yes, I have finished the order as I've just put it on the screen. Jensen Button on the podium with Sebastian Vettel, Paddy Lowe and Mark Webber. But yeah, a crazy Grand Prix. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. And by the way, I just want to say a couple things. One, this is kind of it is a podcast episode and it does count, but it is kind of a test for next year because me and Nib will be doing watch-alongs from Bahrain on next season. So it is kind of a test for that. And also when it comes to the running order, I know at times it was a bit all over the place, but you have to understand it is a work in progress. I am going to do a lot more tests and practice just to make sure I get smoother at it. So yeah, I will try and improve that. But again, it's better to test it now than to test it at the first race for the first time. So I have plenty of time to work on that. But yeah, Button wins from Vettel second, Webber third, Schumacher fourth, fifth Petrov, sixth Massa, seventh Kobayashi, eighth Alguersuari, ninth is Barrichello, 10th Buemi, 11th Rosberg, 12th De La Rosa, 13th is Liuzzi in the HRT. I think that's the best result ever. Carter-Kane 14th, D'Ambrosio 15th, Glock 16th, Trulli 17th, Teresta 18th. And your retirements, Pastor Maldonado, Nick Heidfeld, Adrian Sutil, Fernando Alonso in the Ferrari, Heikki Kovalainen in the Lotus Cosworth, and Lewis Hamilton. So there you go. That is the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix. And honestly, I feel dizzy after that Grand Prix. Just so chaotic. Absolutely so chaotic. By the way, let me just say this. In the chat and in the comments, please tell me, or give me some feedback about the commentary and also the graphics on screen. If you have any, suggestions, or if you want to offer any, feedback, it would be appreciated. But yeah, go ahead.
As we now say goodbye to Mario Master, who said, "I need to go eat breakfast now." Thanks for the watch along. See you all later. Ciao to you, Mario.
Thanks for coming along, and well, you've experienced that Grand Prix for the first time, so there you go. But JB, a Brit in a silver car winning with Vettel P2 and an Aussie in a Red Bull in P3. Nothing has changed. Well, one difference: the Aussie wouldn't be third; he'd be parked on the side of the road. with a burning engine or something like that. Simon Troop, great race. Just looking through the chat now. Halam
great
McLaren,
message in the chat.
Halam McLaren podium. Yeah, it's amazing to think that this is. I think one of their final ever Grand Prix victories. They had I think they had about 4 or 5 left after this race in 2011, then about 3 or 4 or 5 more in 2012. But yeah, that is quite sad. And of course, since the 2012 Brazilian Grand Prix, McLaren have only had one podium, or one podium at a single race, but it was a double podium, Magnussen and Button in Australia, I think, 2014. Was it Australia?
Sorry,
Ricardo,
I wasn't quite tuning in.
Was it Ricardo? He got disqualified and Button got a podium with Magnussen, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was the last podium. So there you go. But I'll read out a couple more comments, and then we'll come to the end of this podcast. Again, hopefully you guys have enjoyed. And again, if you have any feedback you want to give about the commentary or just how it worked, or the links or the graphics on the screen, feel free to do so. I do appreciate any constructive feedback. JB Sebastian, it's James. Let Button win, as he is Hamilton's teammate. I have seen that, insert name here, it's James thing. I will say, I think it's getting a bit, what do you call
dead.
it? Yeah, a bit of a dead meme now. And can I just say, have you seen this, Nib? Whenever Valtteri Bottas posts, guess what he gets in the comments of his Instagram and stuff like that?
Oh, Valtteri, it's James.
Yeah, all the time. So I will say, I think it is getting a bit over the top. It was a funny meme,
for about a week.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people out there that like to just keep repeating it because I don't know, maybe they do find it funny or maybe they don't. I don't know, but JB, I can't stand Vettel. He's so whiny. I'll never like him. I'm not going to comment on that. I like him as a person. I don't think I think he can be whiny, but if you're... The best drivers are bad losers. It's true, isn't it?
It is.
You know, the ones that aren't, no disrespect, like Valtteri Bottas, I wouldn't call him really a bad loser. And the ones that are not bad losers tend to be not top drivers, I'm afraid. But, yeah.
But we all know who is a bad winner, and that is Richard Hammond.
My God. Right, let me just read a couple more before we go. So, Will F1, McLaren had 7 wins in 2012. Yeah, they did. I know I think Button had more wins than Hamilton that season.
Yes, because Mr. Hamilton kept crashing into Mr. Massa.
Yes, he did. He did. Francisco Webber also had a great race after Hamilton hit him, despite the corner cutting and stuff. Yeah. Chazzy, you're right about good drivers, bad losers. If you're not a bad loser, you're not... Well, racing drivers are bad losers. You're supposed to be like that. But I think, you know what? I think we will now come to the end of this podcast. So, let me just take that away. And now come to the end of this podcast. Nib, thank you for joining me. And again, this is kind of a test for next year. So we'll definitely, work on this. It wasn't perfect. I don't think anything is, but I think pretty good for a first time. As we went along, it got better and better.
Yes, definitely. And this sort of little snippet of what's to come in 2019 has got me very excited for when we start doing the race watch-alongs, of course, for the live Grand Prix, starting at Bahrain.
Yeah, I can't wait. And also, I think what will make it better is that when we watch the Grand Prix, we won't know what happens. And I think that maybe kind of ruined it slightly for this, is we knew what happened. So
yes,
we were kind of expecting certain things, but I think that's what would make, the watch-alongs very exciting when it's live next year. But yeah, thanks, mate, for coming along as ever for the podcast.
Cheers, and I must say, some adrenaline was going through me towards the end of that race. That still got me going. That was absolutely fantastic. And of course, thanks for having me, mate. And of course, thank you to everyone in the chat for participating. So yeah, thank you guys, and until next week, I will catch you guys later.
Yeah, thanks, Nib, for coming along for the podcast. Now, I'm going to come to the end of this stream, guys. Been very good to do this again. It is a bit of a test. Also, the ticker that we just did there, that's also a test to, to show you guys what's happening, because I know, again, that was a criticism of the watch-alongs of the last few races of 2018, is that I couldn't show, what was going on in terms of who was in what position, but I am trying to fix that, and I hopefully, fingers crossed, will be able to have a good system in place for the first Grand Prix of 2019. But yeah, thank you guys very much for coming along. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. We will be doing podcasts every Saturday where there is not a Grand Prix, so make sure to subscribe for more podcasts like this. You can either do it on the bottom right of the screen or go to my channel name, click on that, and then go to my channel page and hit the subscribe button and hit the notifications bell as well. Now, just to let you guys know, 2 things actually. One, the video that was supposed to come out tomorrow is now delayed only a day until New Year's Eve. It's the classic F1 season review for 2010, the part 2, where I actually get into the first 4 races of that season. That will come out instead on New Year's Eve, not tomorrow, as I do need more time to work on that for you guys. And also, just to let you guys know, next week's podcast, the topic is already settled and we're already working on it for next week. We are going to be giving an in-depth look at the 2019 regulations, looking at what they are, trying to explain it for, you know, in a simpler way than it comes across sometimes, and we are going to analyse whether they're actually going to work in making the racing better for 2019. But also, don't forget, guys, to like this video. Comment down below what you thought of this video, what you thought of the Canadian Grand Prix 2011. And again, if you do have any constructive feedback, put in the comments so I can make some alterations. If you guys have any things to say about how this watch-along went. Also, don't forget to join the Discord server. The best way to get notifications for my videos is the Discord server, so make sure to join that, link in the description. As well, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Chaz6110 and check out my website ChazzaHDF1. Also, to keep up to date with me and the channel. Just to let you guys know, though, in the next week or two, we are going to be doing or redesigning the page, so it might be under maintenance, I guess you could say. So if you click on it and it's not ready, or you know, stuff like that, we are in the process of updating that and making it look a lot better. But until my next video in 2 days time, a classic review of the 2010 season and the part 2 of that series, and until the next podcast next Saturday at 3 PM UK time, reviewing and looking at in depth the 2019 regulations, it's been me, ChazzaHD. Goodbye.